Hello everyone and welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Now what I've got for you today is supposed to be a banger of Terran versus Protoss between two absolute legends of the StarCraft scene. So first off, in the bottom left hand corner of 2000 atmospheres, playing with the red Terran SCVs from South Korea, we have none other than Maru. Now personally, I've been really enjoying watching Maru once again dominate the StarCraft scene. Now don't get me wrong, this man of course has been on fire for like the last, I don't know, 7-8 years or so, winning the majority of the competitions over in South Korea. But right now, it seems like everything has once again clicked in his head, and he has been smashing the competition left, right, and center. If he keeps playing the way that he is right now, going into like February 2022, he's definitely one of my favorites to win the World Championships. His opponent, I haven't seen this game yet, by the way. I'm just kind of favoring Maru in basically every game that he plays. He's, by the way, going to go for a barracks right outside of his main base. It's going to be a little bit annoying when the opponent eventually comes across and sees the lack of structure here on top of the ramp. But playing with the blue Protoss probes from Germany, we have none other than ShoWTimE. ShoWTimE, of course, over the last decade or so, definitely the highest ranked Protoss player from the European servers. These days, MaxSpecs is starting to give him a run for his money, as far as like highest ranked European Protoss player goes, but there's no denying that ShoWTimE is very good. Of course, he's known as Die Mauer. I know the German viewers always love it whenever I say Die Mauer. But he's a very stoic Protoss player. Generally speaking, he just defends. He's a, when you hear him talk as well, he's a very wise man. Whenever you see him play, he's got that perfect posture. Yeah, I'm excited to see exactly what ShoWTimE is going to be able to do here, because I do feel like it's going to be an uphill battle. But then again, it's ShoWTimE. He's won against everyone. He's definitely always a danger to every single pro player out there. And obviously today we're just going to have a look at a single game, and he can definitely win in a single game against practically everyone out there. Alrighty, so I actually like the fact here that Maru is selling the story even more. So Maru didn't really show a whole lot of structures there, right? Since that barracks was hidden. He's now also going to go for a bunker over here. It's not really that much of a commitment. ShoWTimE already not really too bothered going for the Nexus on the low ground anyways. It is going to be a factory as a follow-up, double gas inside of the main base here as well for Maru. So Maru definitely is not going to be able to expand as quickly here as his Protoss opponent. Looks like the bunker might fit. Yeah. Oof, my god. I actually think it probably could have gotten... I don't know. It depends as well, right? There's not a whole lot of randomness in StarCraft 2. There's not a whole lot of RNG. But the position that the SCV takes while building a structure as it's shifting around is not something you can actually control. And over here, it's definitely something that has an impact on this game, because if the RNG was just ever so slightly different, that bunker wouldn't have finished up. I don't really think it's going to be that big of a deal, though, but it definitely is forcing a bit of a response right here out of ShoWTimE, going for a second Stalker right now as well. SCV is probably not going to be able to make it out. Look at that, Maru actually baiting the Protoss player forward. ShoWTimE doesn't really want to take any more damage on his units than just the shields, which obviously will regenerate. But eventually there is going to be enough. Is the SCV going to get out? No way. Even gets the salvage on the bunker as well. All right. Perfect start right here for our Terran player. Not really losing a whole lot. Obviously the CC is very late though, so I am expecting here to see continued aggression from Maru as well. He's going to go for a couple of Widow Mines. A few Marines are coming up as well, and I think that those Widow Mines are probably going to go into the main base. Good scout there as well by Maru. He saw that that Stargate was already producing a Phoenix. Now, of course, it is going to be ShoWTimE. He's an extremely defending... like, how do you even say that? He's a very defensive Protoss player, so he's very good at just simply not taking damage early on. And Phoenixes are one of the ways that you can, well, really prevent taking a lot of damage. They're very... micro-focused, right? So you need to keep them active, but there's no denying that if you do so successfully, you can shut down pretty much all of the Terran aggression in the earlier stages of the game. So Maru actually, upon seeing that Phoenix opener here, is not even sending... oh god. Ooh, he's not even sending the unit across. That medevac full of units, that is. Widow Mines, though, already kind of scattered around the main base. Luckily here, Phoenixes can take 2 shots. They're actually quite tanky. It's kind of funny. When you look at the Phoenix, it doesn't really look... like, it looks like a flimsy paper plane, right? Looks like one of those terrible... no, actually, it looks pretty good. But it does look like a paper plane and something relatively low in hit points. But it's one of the few Protoss units that doesn't die to a Widow Mine shot in one hit. Interestingly enough. Oracles, for example, do. One of those is going to be coming up. Probably will be using... actually, a second one is coming up. Probably will be using those defensively, because that's what That's what Mr. ShoWTimE does. Going for a quick third nexus, building one of those stasis wards here right outside of the third base. If Terran moves through this choke point, all of his units will temporarily be put into stasis, and obviously that will give ShoWTimE more time. And that's really the way that this man plays the game, right? He basically gets a superior economy, and then he tries to buy as much time as possible, knowing very well that these workers are gonna generate more money the longer the game goes on, and obviously that means that his eventual army will be superior. Twilight Council and Forge coming up right now as well as a transition, whereas in the meantime on the other side of the map we just see Maru transitioning as well towards those additional barracks, just playing a very standard style right here of Terran. Here's that army going across. There are 2 Cyclones in the mix, which is kind of cool. No shade on that adept, so it is going to get out. Maru can't really see the stasis ward. Oh, Oracle's actually managed to get in. That's quite nice. Maru can't see the stasis wards. Okay, luckily for him, it looks like the Cyclones were a little bit far ahead of the pack. So those are going to be in stasis for at least a little while. This is where ShoWTimE is going to try and build some additional defenses. He's killing a lot of SCVs, actually. This is looking really good here for ShoWTimE. Sadly, not the perfect target firing, but definitely not bad whatsoever. The question is, how much damage is he going to take at home? Okay, that siege tank here is dealing a lot of damage. Battery overcharge has already been activated, so ShoWTimE kind of needs to go in. That's going to be on a cooldown for a little while. Is there only 1 Phoenix available? Yeah, there's only 1 Phoenix. That's that one from earlier. Is there going to even be enough right now for Protoss to actually break through this? I mean, there's still 3 shield batteries. I think he should be okay. Viking also landed. But in the meantime, I mean, there was that Liberator apparently inside of the main base. I didn't get a shot of that, but it did kill a couple of probes. And judging by all this, yeah, Terran's gonna go back again, knowing that the Protoss reinforcements are gonna soon arrive. If these Phoenixes lift up the siege tank, then all of a sudden his army is not looking nearly as impressive. Despite the fact that ShoWTimE did kill quite a few workers on the other side of the map, Maru has now evened it up very, very nicely. Alrighty, 3rd CC starts up for Maru. Now this is where that game becomes very interesting, right? So Terran versus Protoss, in general, definitely has Protoss expanding faster than Terran. However, this is a very extreme case, right? So ShoWTimE's base is already up and running, already fully saturated on minerals. He's probably even going to go for a 4th base, if I know ShoWTimE. Wouldn't be surprised, at least, if the probe is going to be moving on over towards this location or the one right over here and plant it down pretty soon. Because already in the economy tab, at the very least, you can see right here that the income is quite heavily in favor of Protoss, and this is exactly what ShoWTimE wants, right? So obviously mules are very helpful. The mules will bring in additional resources, and that's a feature for the Terran. But ShoWTimE has survived the early game, did take a little bit of damage, but he also dealt some damage on the other side of the map. I think this is a pretty comfortable situation right here for the German Protoss. Now it might be time though for that robotics facility. Wouldn't mind seeing some form of splash damage here coming up for him. So either Colossi or Disruptors. Obviously a very good choice. As that Protoss army grows, it's important to get those heavy hitters out. The Terran obviously, and technically speaking, the Phoenixes are still very useful, but in general, the bigger the armies become, the weaker these early game Protoss units really are. I mean, it's nice to have a group of them because you can still lift up siege tanks, but as, you know, we soon can reach like the 30 Marine count. Maybe we're already there. How many do we have? Well, oh my god. Look at that. Reverse caster curse right there. Exactly 30 Marines. Anyways, what I'm trying to get at though, once the Marine count gets big enough, the Phoenixes just sort of melt and you can't really reliably control them as easily anymore. So you usually do want to... Ooh, careful. He doesn't see it. He just sees a little shimmer. Oh, I think he may have seen. Alright, he's like, yeah, I'll just walk by it. No problem. Jimmy, go in there. Jimmy's like, nah. I don't care. Okay, well, the Phoenixes are here, but not patrolling back and forth, so the drop in the main base will still go down. Robo Bay also coming up, by the way, so we will be seeing that transition pretty soon. Still don't really like this Terran push all too much. Yeah, it's decent. At the same time, the rest of the Terran army is thinking about maybe moving on over towards either the natural or the 3rd base. Still a lot of units, though, going down right here for Maru. And obviously, he's doing this from an economical deficit, although he did now secure his own 3rd base as well on that low ground. A couple of Zealots setting themselves up for a surround as well, trying to soak up those Widow Mines. Looks like it's not even needed, though. Phoenix is swooping, will be able to pick up the mines, and now this Terran army will be chased down. Honestly, very good start right here for ShoWTimE. Here I am, hyping up the Terran player. And, yeah, so far, I mean, ShoWTimE is definitely outplaying him, doing a good job. I mean, imagine if that one Liberator didn't kill like 10 workers or so. And that's mostly because he obviously needed to like put all of his defense right over here. Because, so I guess he put it over here because the Terran army was right over in this area. Imagine if that one Phoenix of his was tickling at that Liberator as it came in. Because the Liberator, yeah, definitely showed up a little bit later than that Phoenix anticipated. Because ShoWTimE originally had that Phoenix inside of the main. Either way, I'm just trying to say, if he wouldn't have taken those probe losses, I think this game would have looked pretty much perfect. Double Robo at this point, though. So ShoWTimE is going to be pumping out those Colossi 2 at a time. He's also going to go for the extended thermal lance inside of the Robo Bay that will give those Colossi additional range. Colossi, they deal a lot of damage, especially to Marines. They kind of suck against Marauders and everything else, especially Marines is what they're very good at. Already, though, Maru has mixed in a couple of Ghosts as well, so in this particular matchup, Ghosts have a very useful skill called EMP. I think it's Electromagnetic Pulse? Something like that. Anyways, it basically removes the shields and the energy out of Protoss units. And obviously all the Protoss units have shields. Right there, Interference Matrix also being used by the Phoenix, or sorry, by the Raven. Temporarily disabling that Colossus, but once again, I don't think I like this fight too much for the Terran, though. Yeah. It also feels very desperate. I mean, this was definitely more efficient than the previous engagements. Fourth base for ShoWTimE is actually, all things considered, pretty late. Because right now, Maru is finishing up his own 4th command center as well. But we definitely are setting ourselves up for a nice little macro game. Neither player really with a significant lead at this point. ShoWTimE does play very passively though, right? I mean, it almost makes him a little bit predictable. I wouldn't mind seeing ShoWTimE just go for an all-out 3-base assault, but he doesn't really do that. I mean, he might go for a push right now, but he plays very much so the German efficiency. I know that's an ongoing joke, but he definitely does play a very, very efficient style. It's like he's run like the Excel spreadsheet, right? And he's figured out what, as far as win rates go, the most optimal way of playing is. And usually, obviously, sitting down at the roulette table is not the most efficient way of opening up a game of soccer, right? You don't really want to like take the gamble. You want to make the statistical best choices, kind of like when you play a game of chess or, well, maybe a game of poker, right? You want to know what choices are the best moves into certain scenarios. And oftentimes, it seems at the very least that for the Protoss player to sit back is indeed the mathematical best choice. If you go for a push right now, you can win, but only if the Terran player messes up, right? And that's not something you can really control. So I can imagine that that is one of the reasons why ShoWTimE plays as defensive as he is. He's like, yeah, well, I could go for a push, but the odds of that working out are reliant on my opponent being bad, right? Like, it's not something that's within my control, so it makes sense to just simply sit back. It does make it a bit more boring to watch, maybe, but ShoWTimE has been very successful, so I definitely don't mind it. Although, if every single Protoss player would play the way that ShoWTimE does, it might become a little bit boring as the games go by. Anyways. Maru, he's got that nice little hit squad out. Also playing pretty defensively right now. That's actually one of the things I've noticed in Maru's play. Like, when Maru starts defending, he really does not die. We've seen him do that many times, especially in Terran versus Zerg, where it seems like he's up with his back against the wall for, like, quite literally the better part of 15 minutes, and he just still survives. Like, even when he loses the games, he's still just in the game for so much longer than pretty much every single Terran player out there. It's honestly impressive. Like, significantly better than, for example, even someone like Clem, right? Clem was ridiculously good, or for example, someone like Bjorn. I mean, they play a very different playstyle, but Maru is very strong when it comes to just sitting at home and not taking a lot of damage. Not afraid to play the patience game. I mean, if he sees a good opportunity, though, he will strike, and that concave right here for the Terran player is very good. Couple of Purification Novas did kill a bunch of that Terran army. Good splits, though, this time around here from Maru. Okay, not pushing through it. Apparently, ShoWTimE was anticipating that move as well. Decided to recall on out of there, bringing the units towards the main base, apparently. Already, though, we have a late-game transition. The glowy boy is actually stuck. Archon needs to be put on a diet because for some reason it can't pass through these structures. Needs a prism to go and pick it up. This is actually kind of bad. Anyways. We do now see... Okay, he just started the Chrono Boost right there on that structure, so he probably saw the Archon being stuck there. We do now see, though, a carrier transition. And in the meantime, on the other side of the map, Maru has already got the fusion core out as well. He's gonna go in the advanced ballistics upgrade, and the advanced ballistics allows additional range for those liberation zones. He should evacuate that Archon, though. He's making a prism. I'm pretty sure this prism is just mostly there. I hope the prism is just mostly there for the Archon. Poor Archon. He's like, guys, hello. I was part of the main army too. Remember when I got... Oh, look at Maru right here, even rubbing salt in the wound. Probably mostly just wants to see if there's going to be continued carrier production, but joke's on him. ShoWTimE's already maxed out. Purification Novas. Getting some work done at the very least. Here's the additional Colossi coming in from the left. I don't think there's enough army right here for, Terran to continue pushing, right? That seems like a very risky move. Where'd the Prism go? Prism, no, you're in the wrong place. It's in the main. Alright, so the supply that ShoWTimE loses right now is being replaced with additional carriers. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, Maru is now responding to seeing those carriers as well by pumping out 4 of those Vikings at once. He's already got some additional flyer attacks coming up as well, which is fantastic. And he's now also exploding as far as that command center count goes. So building a whole lot of additional CCs. At some point, Terrans don't really care anymore about losing those SCVs because you can just sort of replace everything with mules. But obviously, early on at the very least, it's going to be very helpful to scan, especially against these guys, huh? The invisible men have shown up. They have blink. They blink right on top of the command center. Is there enough DPS? There sure is. There's pretty much always enough DPS, huh? Dark Templar deals so much damage. ShoWTimE not just replacing the lost supply with carriers, but also, well, allowing himself some damage right there. A little bit of supply for the Dank Templar. Nicely done. Bottom right in corner being acquired as well by ShoWTimE, who's basically just trying to take control of one of the bases that is normally one of the Terrans. I don't mind it. I guess this one over here is a little bit annoying. It's hard to actually defend when Terran takes control of the watchtower. Like, once Terran's hanging out in this area, yeah, this base is basically toast. That's awkward. A Liberator killing an Observer. Not something we see every day, especially when Vikings are right next door. Couple of Widow Mines, though, spotting the movement right here of this army and also dealing some damage. Not that one anymore, but how is that one not firing? There is a Widow Mine on the watchtower, and for some reason it magically did not fire there. Okay. More Dark Templar are being warped in, bottom right in corner. There's not enough for them to kill this, though. Yeah, there's Liberators, there's Dank Templar, or sorry, there's Liberators, there's the Dank Templar. I mean, you gotta need, like, at least a dozen to get anything done. Ooh. Okay, Siege Tank right there, just barely preventing itself from taking a lot of damage. Are we just warping in more and more DTs in the bottom right? Where are we going? Okay. We're waiting on the watchtower, apparently. There's 3 Liberators, like 5 missile turrets, though. Those were mostly built right here for the carriers, but still pretty good. Mispositioning right there, though, from the Protoss player. Loses one of the carriers for free. Okay, I don't like this spot very much here for Protoss at all. Yeah, the Vikings are doing this wonderfully. At the same time, it looks like the DTs are trying to move in, but those also got shut down. And this is what I mean. Maru is so strong defensively. He's scanning right now the 2 likely locations that Protoss may have acquired, and he sees that the bottom right-hand corner is indeed now in favor of the Protoss. It's something that Maru probably wants to deny pretty soon. Yep, the Marauders are already marching. I just want to emphasize that it's very difficult to control this well for Terran. It's very easy to accidentally get overwhelmed. Carriers can just sort of kill everything where you're not careful. I don't think this base in the bottom right is happening. Liberator over here trying to get some work done as well. Recall is going to be okay, yeah, okay, maybe. I don't know. I almost feel like the Terran player can actually fight that army. It's just a few Stalkers and a few Colossi. It's mostly a Marauder base force. At the same time, though, a couple of Stalkers are coming in from the left. He actually keeps the base alive. There's not really even that much mining. Yeah, ShoWTimE is just going to put down a couple of photon cannons here. Also taking the base in the top left-hand corner. How many Vikings are we on? Oh, only actually 10. Okay, I feel like I've seen him produce Vikings and air units for a long time, but it's only really 10. We're going to go up to 13 Liberators, though. Okay. I don't think you can really kill that many Liberators with just Stalkers, can you? Might be time to transition into, like, Tempest or something along those lines. Apparently it's just gonna be more DTs. Yeah, we have 6 DTs over here. It's like, well, you know what? Previously I had like 9 of them. Let me see if I can make 15. See if I can then kill that base. Critical masses is huge. Look at this slow push. This is what I... Like, look at this. How are you gonna break this? Maru with the Liberators, with the missile turrets, with the building positioning, the leftover siege tanks from the early game in the back. It's very difficult to go through this, although this base looks a lot more exposed to me. Not a whole lot of anti-air available, though. Okay, a couple of good purification novas. How many DTs are waiting here? Only 2? Okay. Air weapons level 3, finishing up very soon for ShoWTimE. There's even a tactical nuke coming up. Really? We don't see a lot of nukes in Terran versus Protoss. Getting me excited. I love the planetary, by the way, in this choke point. Ay, ay, ay. It's been so annoying. I mean, it can kill it, but that was still... Even just now it paid for itself, and it already paid for itself earlier. Maru is starting to run out of money, though. He's got 5 bases worth of resources, which is nice and all, but you can see that even his far-out expansions are starting to run a little bit low right here on minerals, so he will definitely need to make a move out pretty soon. Dark Templar are going to be the main way of defending over here. I love... Oh my god, the EMP there was awesome. There's a lot of DTs, though. 12 of them in total here. Scans will eventually run out, so... Yeah. Still making the defense here pretty good. Can we blink again with the DTs? He probably doesn't have the energy for it, or... The cooldown, rather, is not available yet. Stalker's also warped in, and ShoWTimE is not giving up on this base easy. So actually, mining out this expo would be awesome. It takes about 10 minutes to mine an entire base. And this base has already been up and running for a little while. I mean, he didn't have a lot of probes there earlier, only just now sending in more reinforcements. But if this game gets to a stage where like all the bases are pretty much mined, ShoWTimE taking one of the expos, that is much harder to take for him than it would be for Maru to take the top left. Yeah, look at that. He's now also taking his own top left. That would be a huge difference. At the same time, the units from the bottom right-hand corner are actually moving into the planetary fortress as well, and they're going to be able to shut that down. Even more DTs in the back. 16 Dark Templar in total. I love the way what ShoWTimE is doing. This is the best Terran player in the world right now. His TVP is insane. Very nicely done. Very nicely done. Oh my god, this Marauder. Look at that Marauder. He died right where he stood. Floating to the surface of 2000 Atmos. So he's roaming with his army. This army really isn't very scary. I'm not impressed by this force. How many Liberators? Okay, we're at 8 right now. Apparently the Stalkers are slowly whittling the numbers down. I like how ShoWTimE actually managed to break through all of that. Not entirely sure how. But he is mining a lot. He's taking the Zerk approach. Now this time around, Maru said actually, he set up a trap up right here for the Protoss player, so... He set up a trap over here, hiding units in the back, waiting until that army blinked in and got a couple of those units. At the same time, though, once again, ShoWTimE moving forward. Purification Novas going into the mineral line. Not bad whatsoever. I think that might be 2 command centers down the drain. At the same time, bottom right-hand corner, though, is being taken care of. That being said, the DTs are still dealing a lot of damage. I would like to see a recall on the probes over here. That would be kind of cool. Instead, he's just gonna move them out. He's also gonna push forward, though, on the left side of the map. And honestly, ShoWTimE losing one base over here when he's, like, multiple bases up is not, it's not a bad deal whatsoever. Right? 2 command centers over here were killed. That was one of the last mining locations. Although Maru is now securing the expo right next to the one that he just destroyed. So maybe that's one of the reasons. Obviously, now it's going to be easier for him as well to march forward towards the bottom right. Sharing the minerals. Sharing the love. Alright. There's still that nuke, by the way. Wouldn't mind seeing the nuke going in, but... Probably mostly just using it as zoning or forcing the Protoss player to back off. Can be quite hard to pick out the one nuke that's, or the one ghost that's channeling the nuke when there's a big fight going on. So if he's like, I don't want to fight here, send in the nuke, see if it goes. Sometimes it can work out as well, right? The Solar games come to mind. I think it was Beyond versus Solar. And then also Maru versus Solar, both on a Romanticide, where Solar took absolutely massive nukes to like his entire army. Just insane. Anyways, it doesn't happen commonly, but Solar getting unlucky a couple of times in very similar scenarios. Thinking he had sniped that ghost, but he didn't. Oh my god, that Purification Nova over there was awesome. That one also was amazing. That one was also very good. Whew. The Vikings did deal some damage there, but ShoWTimE getting some value. At the same time, we have once again the hit squad. I love how this has become the standard to get rid of expansions. Just warp in like 10 plus Dark Templar and see how it goes. Every time a ghost dies, it actually really sucks. How many ghosts? 29 ghosts. Yeah, alright, not bad. Those Liberators are forcing this army to back off, but it's not preventing it from dealing damage at the very least. Okay, ShoWTimE now even taking the Expo. That's normally extremely difficult to acquire. I would love to see him saturate into gas, although actually right now he's kind of low on minerals. Maybe that's because he just built that base and he's now adding on a couple of photon cannons. Okay, ShoWTimE now going in for what seems to be a trade. I don't know if I like this move. He could actually lose 3 Expos here, which would kind of suck. If he trades it for 1 base of the Protoss, I don't think that's a good situation. Okay, that's a lot of SCVs. 16 of those end up going down. Colossus, hello. Okay. That base is gotta get picked off. Already a command center is flying on over towards the corner, but exactly what I was trying to say earlier, right? Maru is now gonna go after the 3rd base in that little triangle. And I mean, now it's 1 for 3. 1 for 3 is not really that good of a deal. Protoss now actually running kind of low on money, right? This Expo over here is mined out. The base on the right side is running dangerously low. 29 probes there for only 5 mineral patches. Not ideal. Looks like the Phoenix and a couple of Stalkers here are going to be able to finish the job. Base in the bottom right-hand corner gets scouted. Maru only at 40 SCVs at this point, so his army is huge. 159 army supply. Top left-hand corner being reacquired. Maru probably will be trying to retake 2 of these bases over here very soon as well. ShoWTimE also grabbing this one. I actually really like it. Liberators once again moving forward. Purification Novas though, also dodged. Okay. Couple of DTs trying to keep this this base from the landed position as long as possible. And there's finally a Tempest coming up. I think Tempest would have been nice a little while ago. I guess there's still a lot of Vikings, right? Or how many do we have? It's only 9. It's not really that big of a deal. But I think Tempest, right? Just to pick off the Liberators from a distance, not a bad idea. At this point, the Liberator count is... Well, it's not even really that big. It's just that they're all over here, it seems. And they deal so much damage. They have so much range. It's hard to engage this if you don't come in from the side with the Stalkers. In a head-on engagement, it's going to be very difficult to pull off. So these Dark Templar actually have been denying resource income for a long time. Look at this. Maru now even long distance mining over here. If you look at the income tab, there's actually more money coming in right now for a Protoss player per minute than it is for the Terran. I think that's mostly because of the base in the top left. Even this Nexus now over here is also being reacquired. Look at these guys actually playing a strategy game, huh? Sometimes StarCraft can mostly just be about clicking buttons very fast and trying to, outperform the opponent. But there's some strategic thinking going on here for sure. Okay, Stalkers trying to target fire down as much as possible, but that's a lot of Stalkers that get destroyed there. Finally, the Tempest have shown. 2 more are coming up. Good split right there by Maru. As is to be expected. Okay, that was also pretty good actually. Now all of a sudden, Maru's army is looking absolutely massive. 122 supply. The Tempests are dealing damage from a distance. But without Disruptors here, this Terran army is just gonna demolish everything. Okay, we're soon gonna be at 5 Tempest. Once they start shooting, they usually don't really stop. So they can shoot away further than they can see, especially for air-to-air. They can pick off units, but I still like what Maru is doing here. He's backing off, but it seems like he's gonna be able to destroy 2 expansions from the Protoss player while doing so. In the meantime, bottom right-hand corner has been acquired. There's only orbital commands over here, so this one Dark Templar is going to have a blast. One-shotting as many of those SCVs as possible. Tempest right now getting quite a bit of work in as well. Purification Novas once again. Okay, this time around they do have some pretty decent connections. Third one also. Fourth one even. Trying to get some work done. Liberators don't really deal a lot of damage air to air. They think they're Valkyries, but turns out that's a different game. Backing off to the safety of the shield batteries. Viking gets picked off. And the DTs over here are getting a lot of work done. That one actually that I selected earlier has 19 kills. His friend only has got 4, but that's a lot of SCVs going down. Look at that. 150 plus workers have been killed in this one game of TBP. It doesn't really happen in Terran versus Protoss that we see that many workers getting picked off. This is very good. This is very good, StarCraft. Okay. We're at 6 Tempest. Probes even get recalled. All the way to the top left-hand corner. Nicely done by ShoWTimE. Minimizing the amount of downtime on those units. Okay, Tempest can once again start shooting. Without disruptors, though, these Tempests are pointless. Yeah, the Tempests basically just need to keep shooting. And the disruptors have to try and keep that army back. If the Terran army manages to get underneath this force, right, it just gets absolutely demolished. Alright. Anyways, Maru replacing all of those lost SCVs from now with more and more mules. So his mineral income is looking pretty hot. He's marching as well with that small army of his. Honestly, this is not a very impressive force. He's got a couple more units over here, but it's just back down to Marine Marauder Medevac for the most part. There's a couple ghosts in here, but really not that many. A couple of zealots trying to go in for a run-by. Those actually get picked up for free. That was like 500 minerals going down. At the same time, the Nexus in the top left will now also be finished. Tactical nuke. Moving on across the map. Trying to force this army to back off. There's the ghost right over here. ShoWTimE! Forcing the cancel on the nuke as well. That's one way of doing it. Not entirely what I expected, but apparently Maru cancelled and instantly went for the EMP. Now that nuke is flying somewhere in orbit around 2000 Atmos, whatever planet this is taking place on. I'm not exactly sure where it goes, but if the ghost isn't all the time, like perpetually telling the nuke where to land, it just doesn't know. So now it's just flying into oblivion. Might connect somewhere. It's bad. All right, command center goes down. Both of these guys are broke. If you look at the income tab right now, look at that, double digits. Another command center gets picked off. Pretty much all the orbitals have been picked off. Maru is trying to see if he can maybe take an engagement. We are at 5 disruptors, 54 marines. Here we go. Disruptor, purification novas, completely split right there at the same time. Okay, this one did get a pretty decent connection, but now all of a sudden Maru's army is looking absolutely massive. Purification nova is currently on cooldown and the disruptors are actually in the back. Maru trying to see if he can just push underneath this army. He knows that there's not a lot of splash damage. There's one purification nova coming in from the left. That one does get a pretty decent trade. Is there enough right now, though, for our German Protoss player to hold on against this Terran army? I think that Maru may have just barely pulled it off. Woo! And just like that, Maru saw an opportunity, he took it, and he instantly wins the game. I gotta say, though, that was incredibly impressive from ShoWTimE, being significantly ahead at multiple stages in the game. It was just barely not enough, but he's playing some fantastic StarCraft for sure.